Good afternoon, friends. Let's start the next point after the digestive system. The next point is the respiration process. The respiration process is of various types. It includes external respiration and internal respiration. We are going to study here about the respiratory system, specifically the human respiratory system. The diagram shown here is of human respiratory system. This diagram not only is showing the external parts of the human respiratory system, but also the internal parts of the human respiratory system. The external part includes nose and the internal parts includes pharynx, windpipe, lungs, etc. etc. So in this we are also going to study the activities that are shown in the 10th NCERT book. So let's see the first activity. The first activity in this respiration chapter of NCERT 10th book is take some freshly prepared lime water in a test tube, blow air through this lime water, note how long it takes for the lime water to turn milky, use a syringe or pitchkari to pass air through some fresh lime water taken in another test tube, note how long it takes for this lime water to turn milky. Okay, what does this tell us about the amount of carbon dioxide in the air that we breathe out? So the diagram is shown here about the activity. In the first activity points, the pitchkari is used to take up the atmospheric air in which CO2 is there. Definitely this atmospheric air, when we attach the tube to the pitchkari and blow inside a fresh lime water, the lime water turns milky. Definitely correct, the lime water turns milky from the clear. Okay, next, when we breathe out or exhale the air from our mouth inside second tube of fresh lime water, it also turns milky. How it happens? So let's see about next activity also. The next activity is about fermentation process and the CO2 produced in the fermentation process. This CO2 also turns the fresh lime water into milky one. So how it happens? Let's see. Take some fruit juice or sugar solution and add some yeast to this. Take this mixture in a test tube fitted with a one-holed cork. Fit the cork with a bent glass tube. Dip the free end of the glass tube into a test tube containing freshly prepared lime water. What change is observed in the lime water and how long does it take for this change to occur? What does this tell us about the products of fermentation? So this activity is given here. The diagram shown here is made specifically for this presentation. The diagram shown here is not present in the NCERT book. So observe the diagram carefully. This 6.5 activity mentions about a sugar or juice in which the yeast is mixed. So this is the main test tube inside which yeast is added, in which fruit juice or sugar solution is added, and due to fermentation by yeast, CO2 is being produced. Okay, definitely correct. Thistle's tunnel is attached. Then the secondary tube is attached, that is known as delivery tube, to deliver CO2 produced inside the main test tube in the tube which is containing fresh lime water. So when the CO2 produced by yeast due to fermentation activity is going through this delivery tube into the fresh lime water containing tube, this lime water is also turning milky. So why this is happening? Let's see. Here a tube with freshly prepared lime water is shown. The first tube shown here is containing freshly prepared lime water, which is nothing but calcium hydroxide solution. So when calcium hydroxide solution come in contact with carbon dioxide CO2, it turns milky, forming calcium carbonate and water. So here the explanation is given. Carbon dioxide reacts with lime water, that is a solution of calcium hydroxide, that is CaOH twice, to form a white precipitate which appears milky, of calcium carbonate, that is CaCO3, calcium carbonate. Adding more carbon dioxide results in the precipitate dissolving to form a colorless solution of calcium hydrogen carbonate. If you further continue to add carbon dioxide, even if the solution of calcium hydroxide turn milky, the solution again becomes clear, which forms calcium hydrogen carbonate. Okay, so let's see next why this happens. The reaction is shown here. Test for carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide turns lime water cloudy. How? Carbon dioxide plus calcium hydroxide, that is lime water, when these two are mixed, calcium carbonate is formed along with water as a product. So the reaction is shown here. CO2 in the form of gas, G is representing gas here, plus CaOH twice, means aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide. When these two react, a calcium carbonate solid forms and water in the liquid form is produced inside the tube. Okay, so the reaction is shown in 3 steps. You can see here clear lime water when the CO2 is being started to mix up with lime water, and when the CO2 is mixed up with lime water, the lime water turned milky. Okay, next we have discussed nutrition in organisms and the digestive system of humans in the last section. The food material taken in during the process of nutrition is used in cells to provide energy for various life processes. Yes, we have seen this. Diverse organisms do this in different ways. Some use oxygen to break down glucose completely into carbon dioxide and water. Some use other pathways that do not involve oxygen. In all cases, the first step is the breakdown of glucose, a 6-carbon molecule, into a 3-carbon molecule called pyruvate. Okay, so all carbohydrates generally are converted into glucose first, and from this glucose a 6-carbon molecule pyruvate is made. Okay, this process takes place in the cytoplasm. Further, the pyruvate may be converted into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This process takes place in yeast during fermentation. Since this process takes place in the absence of air, that is in the absence of oxygen, during this it is called anaerobic respiration process. Breakdown of pyruvate using oxygen takes place in the mitochondria. This process breaks up the 3-carbon pyruvate molecule to give 3 molecules of carbon dioxide. Okay, the other product is water. Since this process takes place in the presence of air, it is called as aerobic respiration. So from this you basically know that there are two kinds of respiration. Aerobic respiration, which is required oxygen is must in this, and second process is anaerobic respiration where there is no need of oxygen. Okay, the release of energy in this aerobic process is a lot greater than in the anaerobic process. Sometimes when there is a lack of oxygen in our muscle cells, another pathway for the breakdown of pyruvate is taken. What is this another pathway? Here the pyruvate is converted into lactic acid, which is also a 3-carbon molecule. This buildup of lactic acid in our muscles during sudden activity causes cramps. Yes, due to buildup of lactic acid, sudden activity causes cramps. Next thing, here let's see how the glucose is being broken down. The glucose, that is 6-carbon molecule in the cytoplasm of a cell, is break down into pyruvate, that is 3-carbon molecule, plus energy is released during this process also. This happens from a generally used pathway in most aerobes. That pathway is known as Embden-Merhop-Parnas pathway. We know it as EMP pathway as a short form. So what happens after formation of pyruvate? This process is also known as glycolysis process. When the pyruvate forms, it goes in different organisms into different pathways. How? This pyruvate in absence of oxygen inside the yeast cells forms ethanol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. That is, ethanol is a 2-carbon molecule. Okay, when this pyruvate in absence of oxygen or lack of oxygen inside human body due to sudden activity, it is converted into lactic acid plus energy. Lactic acid is a 3-carbon molecule. When this same pyruvate in presence of oxygen inside the mitochondria, it goes into TCA cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, and it forms carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. How this energy is formed? This energy is formed into the forms of ATP, NADPH and FADPH. Maybe NADPH is written as NADPH2 and FADPH is written as FADPH2 also. From one NADPH, how many ATPs are formed? And from one FADH2, how many ATPs are formed? Consider this as your homework. So what is ATP actually? Adenosine triphosphate, which is formed inside the mitochondria through the aerobic respiration process. Okay, because here the terminal electron acceptor is oxygen, through which various kinds of high level energy is formed. Let's see about next slide. Respiration definition. Here we are going to study about the definition of respiration. What is actually the respiration is? It is a process in living organisms involving the production of energy, typically with the intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide from the oxidation of complex organic substances. Yes, it is a worldwide accepted definition of respiration. What is the origin of this respiration word? The origin of respiration word is late Middle English from Latin respiration. From respire means breathe out. Okay. So let's go to next point. How many types of respirations are there? Basically, there are basically two types of respirations. But if we consider the internal respiration into two parts, three types of respirations are there. Okay. So let's see key takeaways. Types of respiration. Respiration is the process of gaseous exchange between the air and an organism's cells. Okay. Three types of respirations include internal, external and cellular respiration. External respiration is the breathing process. It involves inhalation and exhalation of gases. Internal respiration involves gas exchange between the blood and the body cells, while the third respiration process, that is cellular respiration, involves the conversion of food to energy. Aerobic respiration is a cellular respiration that requires oxygen, while anaerobic respiration does not. So there are further two types of respiration, whether it is involving oxygen or whether it is not involving oxygen. That is aerobic respiration process and anaerobic respiration process. So let's see next point. Human respiratory system. As we know, our respiratory system is enclosed inside very different layers of human body. So the first layer that we see when we observe humans is the skin. Below the skin, muscular layers are present. Below the muscular layers, skeletal layers are there, and the nervous system part is there. Nerves are there, nerve system, nerves, and below that, in the skeletal system, the respiratory system is there. In skeletal systems part that we call rib cage, inside this rib cage, the respiratory system is there, which consists of two lungs. The main part, that is windpipe, which provides the inhaled air to the lungs and takes out the exhaled air towards nose to breathe out. Okay, so this is the respiratory system, which involves various parts, as you can see in this image. So let's see the next thing. It is being protected in a cage like structure both in male and in female. The cage like structure is known as a rib cage. Okay, inside this rib cage, the respiratory system main parts, that is the windpipe, lungs are there. Okay, so the rib cage is connected with each other, and at the upper surface with the help of sternum like part. This part is known as sternum, which is present in both male and females of human. Let's see how this actually is trapped or protected, actually not trapped, protected by the rib cage. So this rib cage shown here protects the respiratory system part, lung and the windpipe. Okay, how? Here the rib cage provides protection from external injuries to the lungs, and it also helps to maintain the structure of the lungs inside the body anatomy. Okay, so it is fixed here. Lungs cannot move down or move up due to the rib cage presence. This rib cage also help protect from external attacks or injuries due to falling down, etc., etc. Let's see the next point. After removing the rib cage, the structure you can see is the complete respiratory system of humans. This system consists from nostrils, okay, mouth, pharynx, epiglottis, then windpipe and bronchi and bronchioles into the next part, that is lung. So there are two lungs basically in this respiratory system, the right lung and the left lung. The right lung is three lobed and the left lung is two lobed or bilobed. Let's see in detail. This respiratory system, the respiratory system diagram is shown here, consists of, as it is labeled here, the first part is shown here, these are sinuses. These are sinus areas. The second part shown here is a nose. The third part a mouth. The third B part tongue. Then the fourth part adenoids. Fifth part tonsils. Sixth part throat. Seventh part epiglottis. Okay. Eighth part voice box. Ninth part esophagus. Then the 10th part windpipe. 11th part lymph node. And the 12th part the ribs. 13th A, the right main bronchial tube. 13B, the left main bronchial tube. Okay. 14th, three lobes of the right lung. See the three lobes of the right lung. 1, 2 and 3. Then 15th, two lobes of the right lung. As you can see here, the right lung is divided into two parts. So it is two lobed. Then 16th, pleura, which is double layered structure which protects the lung, and it also separates the lung from the thoracic cavity. Okay, pleura is a double layer. Then 17, bronchial cilia. When we take a cross section of bronchi, you can see the bronchial cilia inside which mucus is there and various cells are there. Then the 18th part of this respiratory system is diaphragm. Okay, when you inhale air, the diaphragm goes down. When you exhale air, the diaphragm goes up. Okay. 19th, bronchioles. This diagram is of bronchioles, in which the bronchioles are further differentiated into alveolus, air sac like structures. Then 20B, pulmonary vein structure is there. 20C, capillaries are there near the alveoli to take the oxygen sent by the lungs, bronchi and bronchiolar parts towards alveoli. These capillary carry blood and take oxygen from alveoli to the other part of the body through the heart. Okay. So what is 20D? Pulmonary artery. So here the respiratory system of humans is shown in detail. Next, let's see if we cross section this human respiratory system into various parts, how it appears. When we remove the rib cage and just dissect the first right part of the lung, what we can see is branched structure inside the lung. Okay, here the sternum is removed and the rib cage is also removed, so that you can see how the respiratory system actually looks. By pausing down this video, you can observe these structures. Then here a 3D diagram is shown how the lungs work, how the windpipe and the branching of the bronchi is actually there, how the diaphragm is present, in which position it is present is shown in this diagram. Okay, then when you exclude lungs, what is the part of the respiratory system, what does it look like? So it look like this. This is a windpipe which is covered with trachea, rings of cartilage. When it is branched, this branching point, it is near fifth vertebra of thoracic cage. Okay, thoracic vertebra, fifth vertebra. This branching occur in front of fifth thoracic vertebra. What kind of branching? It is a branching of bronchi. Okay, so when this branching occurs, the branching goes down like a tree like structure, okay, which is further branched into smaller capillaries, smaller tubes. These smaller tubes are known as bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, alveoles, etc. etc. So here, after the main branching is done, we are able to observe what are the actual bronchi and bronchioles. Okay, in this diagram, the windpipe is excluded and other parts of division of bronchi is shown here. Here, the windpipe is shown with epiglottis. Okay, as you can observe. In the next diagram, we can further magnify the alveoli. Alveoli look like this. These are sacs which can able to fill oxygen, means air, and can transfer the air, means oxygen, to the capillaries inside which blood is there. Inside blood, hemoglobin containing RBCs are there. This hemoglobin absorbs this oxygen released from alveoli and it is taken inside the heart to supply to the whole body. Again, the heart is also able to supply the unoxygenated blood from the body towards lungs, again to purify it or to mix it with oxygen, definitely. So this mixing of oxygen in the capillary tube RBC occurs here with the help of alveoli, where the capillaries are attached to the alveoli from outside, as you can see here. Okay, when you cut this alveolus, you can observe various network of air tubing